Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I wanted to do like a sort of Avengers Endgame review. Now this is certainly not going to be any professional review on the movie compared to some of the ones that are already on the internet or some of the ones you've already read. It's just, my views on it. And so overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it was a really good way to end the Thanos storyline. I mean, I know there are some people that didn't like the fact that they had to go back in time. They used time travel as a way to fix undoing what Thanos did, but I thought it was done fairly well in this movie. I mean, I think there were so many great things about this. There were so many great things about the movie that really brought these characters to life. And in a conversation I had with Nick, how he was talking about when he did his review, he's talking about how emotional he got with some of the characters when they died and so forth and so on. And it's, yeah, I mean, where you would think that you wouldn't get that way. But no, sometimes you don't really realize how attached you are to some of these characters when you see them in their final scenes. And I felt the same way with a lot of the characters. I felt the same way at the death of Black Widow. I felt the same way, mostly, about Iron Man. You really do, there are a lot of touching moments in it. So I just wanted to talk about a couple more things about the movie that I really enjoyed. Now, it's true that there were a ton of characters in this movie, but I thought that the first couple of hours really did well. Rather, it gave a good amount of time to explain how they are going to beat Thanos. Because time travel, any story with time travel can be complex, you know. But, I think that the movies, whatever movie is dealing with time travel, they are the ones that should set the rules for it, not necessarily based in what actual time travel could be, because you just don't know. You really don't know. Like Back to the Future set the rules. Oh, we're going to go back in time. We're going to make sure your parents get together and you'll be born. Boom. With this movie, we're going to go back in time, even though we're going to find some way to get the stones and bring it back to our time and make everyone appear again. I mean, it's up to the movie, I think, when it comes to time travel storylines to really set the rules for that. Because you could watch a bunch of different movies. You could watch ghost stories. You could watch zombie movies. And there are general rules in zombie movies. You tend to shoot them in the head and they die. But sometimes movies like Return of the Living Dead, they have different rules where shooting them in the head doesn't kill them and so forth. So that's what I think about when it comes to time travel. But getting back to the characters, I think that it was good. The 2 hours where where they were planning on how they were going to do this, I think it was well used. I think all the characters did pretty well. I know one complaint was there wasn't enough time for when the Vanish returned. It wasn't enough time to show those characters. A lot of those characters had bigger roles in Infinity War, and I think those roles in Infinity War told their story or told their part in this saga. Even though Infinity War is not really part of the same film, it's two separate films, but you really didn't need to add too much more to Black Panther or Spider-Man or Doctor Strange. What you saw, in my opinion, what you saw in Endgame was good enough when it comes to those characters. You couldn't possibly give much bigger roles to all those characters in this film. The movie would be, you don't know how long it'll last. But I thought, though, even though the Vanished had a very small amount of time on screen when they were all brought back, when Professor Hulk snapped his finger and brought everyone back, when they came back eventually, they did play good roles. For instance, when they had the Infinity Gauntlet and they're all trying to get it away from Thanos or try to, get it away from his forces. Well, Black Panther had it for a while. Spider-Man had it for a while as they're fighting off the Horde. So, I think that was a good use of those characters for this particular movie. I'm sure we're going to see a Black Panther 2. We're going to see Far From Home, where you get to concentrate more on those characters. Now, if all these characters come back in another major film like Avengers, I'm sure they will have much more significant roles. But again, I think that the roles that they played in this particular film was good enough. Was good enough. So about the characters that really took center stage in this film, characters like Iron Man and Captain America and Nebula and Black Widow, Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was his best in this movie. You know, Hawkeye was always okay, but the character I think really had a good transformation in this film. You know, he went from being Hawkeye to the vigilante Ronin, having, you know, he expressed some regret on his actions, you know, when he went to Vormir with Black Widow, when they were talking to each other on who's going to sacrifice who, and he's talking about there was really no going back, you know, from what he did, you know, the people that he killed and all that stuff. So you really felt that that there was a lot of depth added to that character, and I liked him in this movie. I thought he was really good, and I think in this movie it was the best portrayal of Hawkeye out of all the movies that Hawkeye appeared in. And I would say the same thing for Black Widow. Again, there was an added effect to that character because the amount of depth that was put into her. You know, the fact that she saw the Avengers as her family, and she wanted to make this sacrifice to make it meaningful so that they could get the stone and stop Thanos, so that the family, all the people that were lost, could come back. So that's some heavy stuff. You know, that whole scene on Vormir, even in the original movie when Thanos threw Gamora off, that was pretty heavy. But I think the new one in Endgame, where they have that scene where Hawkeye and Black Widow are confronted by the Red Skull, and he tells them what they must do. I thought that scene was better than the original one. I really, the one that Thanos had in Infinity War. I think it was a lot more dramatic, and you really felt about these characters. Not that you didn't feel for Gamora, because you know you certainly do. I like Gamora a lot, but it was, I think, much more emotional with Black Widow, because we've seen her ever since Iron Man 2. And you may not like Black Widow, you may not like the way she was portrayed in some of them, or the amount of time she had on screen, or whatever, but in this one, it was done very well, I think. Another character that I really enjoyed was Nebula. That's another character and there was more depth added to her. You remember her from Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And Infinity War, you saw that character grow a lot to what she became in Endgame, which was a more compassionate person. And there were a lot of little scenes. I couldn't possibly go over them all. I know we talked about it on the live chat with Patrick. She got Tony back into the chair, and it was a very caring moment, especially when he offered her some of the food that they were eating because they were running out of supplies, but she let him have it. And especially that part she had with War Machine when they went to go try to stop Peter Quill from getting or at least try to get the Infinity Stone before Quill did back in 2014. So there were a lot of moments with her. My favorite moment with her was when, in the beginning of the movie, where she was playing, I guess, paper football or whatever with Tony. And, you know, Nebula is a pretty intense character, and I liked it when she didn't make the goal and she seemed to get all angry, and Tony was like, no, that's okay. And she eventually won the game, and in a very serious tone, she said she likes this game and all that stuff. So those little moments with her I thought were really good, and how hard she tried to warn everybody that Thanos knew now what the plan was, that he's going to try to get the stones, and how much she really contributed to the team and trying stopping him. I thought that was really good. So she was definitely one of my favorite characters in this movie. And I think they were all pretty good. I mean, Captain America was pretty good. Obviously, Iron Man was good. Rocket, I liked Rocket. I thought he was pretty good too. Captain Marvel was okay. She wasn't bad. I mean, I found myself liking her a lot, you know, when she came back to help the battle at the end, when the 2014 version of Thanos and all of his people, whatever, came to attack the Avengers, and she came in and just decimated a lot of his forces and his ship. I thought that was a really good, heroic moment, and I think a lot of people liked that. When I was in the theater, a lot of people were cheering when all the Vanished came back, and when Black Panther came back, and Spider-Man, they saw Spider-Man again. That really got a lot of people going. And to experience this movie for reactions like that, good reactions from the audience, not people just flipping on their phones and talking on their phones and texting and all that stuff. Seeing those good reactions of people clapping and cheering when their favorite character does something or comes back really adds to the experience, because I don't like going to the movies at all. I just don't. It's usually a hassle and all that stuff to go for various reasons, and sometimes there are people, they're just annoying, but not with this movie. It was packed when we went. It was a lot of fun. It was a really good experience. And another thing I wanted to talk about, I liked Ant-Man. I always like Ant-Man. I thought that his parts were really good, although the character can be a little too comedic for me. I typically don't like too much comedy. I mean, it's okay when it's here and there sprinkled. It adds flavor to the product. But when it's just too much and it's just over the top, it bothers me. Like Deadpool, although I enjoyed Deadpool 2, I didn't like Deadpool 2 because of Deadpool. I liked Deadpool 2 because of Cable. I thought he was really good. I liked Rusty Collins. I liked him. I thought he was really good. Colossus was good. I liked him in the scenes he was in, and I liked the Juggernaut. So there was a lot in that movie that I enjoyed, other than Deadpool, because I really couldn't care less about Deadpool. Because of everything's like a joke. And that's just the way I am. That's the way my wife is. We don't like it when there's just too much comedy, where it becomes a distraction. It becomes a distraction for us. People that always have to make a joke about every little thing, or it seems like they're always playing a part, really get on my nerves pretty quickly. But when that person does have a serious conversation, like Ant-Man did many times in this movie, that's when you get my attention, and that's when I enjoy the company of that person, or I enjoy seeing that character more. And I thought Ant-Man, although had a lot of comedy to his character, there was also a lot of seriousness with him. When he finds his daughter, when he's trying to convince everybody about, hey, this, maybe we can do this, maybe we can go back in time. Those parts really highlighted that character in a really good way for me, and I liked it. So overall, there's always going to be criticism about this movie and other movies, but I do think it's an overall great movie to see if you haven't seen it already. And well, if you haven't seen it already, sorry, spoiler alert. But I need to see it again. I'd love to see it again. Very rarely do I see a movie and I'm like, let me go see that movie again really soon. No, usually I don't. This one I would like to go see again. I have a friend coming over tonight. Maybe I could convince him to go see it again, because he saw it and he liked it. But I doubt it, because we don't have that much time. It's 3 hours. But the point is, I'd like to see this movie again really soon. It's just one of those movies. And as for the future with the Marvel Universe, I'm eager to see what's going to be going on with the Fantastic Four and X-Men. I'm not looking forward to a lot of the films that they probably have coming out. But I am looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy. I am looking forward to Doctor Strange too, because I think that with Guardians of the Galaxy, they're in space, and that might open up some doors for, other characters like Adam Warlock and the Silver Surfer, now that they're able to use the Silver Surfer. Doctor Strange too, hopefully. I'd like to see, maybe Nightmare and other characters that will really jumpstart the next phase of these films. Not that the other sequels that they have planned won't do that, but I'm more looking forward to Doctor Strange and Guardians 3. That's just my opinion. So, go out, see Avengers Endgame. It was really good. It's a lot of emotion in it, and it's definitely left me felt satisfied, despite not having a post-credit scene. I definitely felt that everything I ever wanted when I first started collecting comics back in the early 90s, hoping to see a great comic book movie, and not seeing one until the late 2008, 2009, all that stuff with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everything that I wanted to see was in Endgame. And in other movies too, like Infinity War and so forth, but it really the wait definitely paid off. It was too long of a wait, but it came and it was really good. Thank you for watching. Take care.